Yeah. I wish I could have gone, but I just did better that I didn't. Good morning, JD. Thank you, sir.
You had it this morning, I saw it. Going into town.
My phone just said 9 o'clock.
It is. It is 9, yes.
Okay, it's 9 o'clock. I call this meeting to order and need a motion to approve the agenda. Before we do that, though, one thing on here just real quick. And it probably won't matter, but the public comment session, we talked about it, I said limited to 5 minutes. Suggested would be my suggestion there, because I'm not gonna keep time on anybody if they want to make public comment, but other than that, if that's okay, I'd like to hear a motion to approve the agenda without amendment.
Yep, I make a motion. We
I'll
approve.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Say pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Melissa's turn, I guess. Are you ready, Melissa?
All right, so this is the 2024 budget presentation. Can you all hear? Hello? Sorry, I'll hold it a little closer. So this is the 2024 budget presentation. And so just starting off with a few behind the scenes facts, valuations, we rolled out valuations in December. And then after we finalized evaluations, we received notification from the Department of Revenue and the Department of Management that the legislatures were discussing changing that due to the rollback of the assessment. So after debate, I believe in with the legislators, they did decide to do that. So this would be reflective of with the new valuations. We had 15 days to recomplete valuations and then basically either we could leave the numbers as is or we could lower anything without having to republish. So that was what we moved forward with. So I'll walk you through all of those issues. So this is the valuations with all of the changes with the rollbacks for this last year and the prior year. So as you can see, there was growth in rural of 28,748,443, and in urban there was growth of 4,956,732,000. So an overall growth of almost 34 million. Right there. So, and this basically just goes through, they have changed what we used to consider and call the rollback to the assessment limitation. So as you can see, residential increased and 256.4919 from 54.1302. Agriculture decreased to 91 from 89, and commercial and industrial, the first 150,000 of the value was at the 56.4919, and commercial and industrial value over 150,000 was at the 90. And that was kind of that new split that we saw. And then the utility property was right at 100%. So Levying for the funds, we really didn't see any change in most of the levies from this year to last year. General stayed at the 3.5. With the new valuations, it did increase, but I went through and just changed that through the budget to reflect that 3.5. So our levy actually did not increase then. And as well for general supplemental, it stayed at the 2.6. The only thing that fluxed a little bit was debt service, and that was due to debt obligation payments of the 272,000. And it was at 0.31491 after that change, which was just a few cents change on that one. And then your rural basic it did stay at that 3.0. So, and that's where your secondary roads, your sheriff, your road management, your environmental health districts are paid out of. So overall, when we looked at the levy rates, you can see that there was actually a slight decrease of about 1 cent from last year to this year when you look at those across the board. So that kind of shows you where that's at. And then it does kind of break down and go through on the revenue side. It shows you that our property taxes were a little over 6 million and our loss was about 569,000. We had intergovernmental of about 4.4 million, licenses about 23,000, charges for services about 300,000, and utility tax replacement of about 300,000. And then reviews of money property was about 135,000, and miscellaneous was 184,000 for a total projected revenues of about 12,300,000 there. And so then this just kind of shows you overall the projected revenues for the county in kind of a chart, so people can kind of see where our revenues, most of our revenues technically come from property taxes and intergovernmental. So it shows you those. And then on the expenditure side, this just goes through the different service areas that we use. And it shows you that our first service areas at public safety, legal services, it was about 3.4 million. And that includes your sheriff, your attorney, courts, medical examiner. Some of those you have a little more fluctuation in, but like really like your medical examiner and some of your court costs are really, you really just unfortunately kind of get handed those when the medical examiner asks for an autopsy. It's not debatable of whether we can do those things or not. Health and social services was a little over 700,000, and that includes a lot of the public health, DHS, VA, and then your county environment and education was 2.7 million, and that would be your conservation, that would be payments for county fair, weed eradication, any funding we provide to the libraries, a lot of those are in that. Your roads, that's basically your secondary roads department, and that's 5.4 million. And then your governmental services is 680,000. That would be your auditor, recorder, your treasurer expenses, and administration is 1.8 million. That would be some of your supervisor, or that would be your supervisors, part of your auditor, treasurer, recorder, IT, insurance. A lot of your general just funding costs are in there. Your non-program services is 8,000. That's expenses for the farm operations. And then your debt service would be for the radio equipment that we're currently still paying for a little over 350,000. And then your capital projects is right about 100,000, and that's your roadway construction. So overall, that total to 15,291,000 right there. And then if you look at by department, this just kind of shows you by department, your different departments, their total budget. So you can kind of see that, those expenses. And then if you come down to the next one, this just gives you a 3-year comparison. So you can see, this might be a little small, sorry. But this just kind of shows you overall then by department where all those expenses come in. The next slide goes and just basically shows you your rural basic tax comparison, and it shows you that rural basic had an increase. And then as well, the tax dollars, the additional increase of the 86,000 that came from leaving that levy the same and what was generated based on the increased valuations. So. And then the next one is for secondary roads, we do have, the county is required to provide a minimum level of effort to keep the funding from the state to come through. And so with that, there was an increase of 7.13% in order to make sure that that level of effort was met this year based on the increased valuations. So this might be a little small too. So this just overall then shows the county for this year, and then the rate estimated for the prior year and the actual for the year before that. So some of the main changes this year, highlights from the budget were increase in sheriff's department for jail salary increase in dispatch department to cover increasing operational expenses, increase in general supplemental for insurance increases, increase in rural basic to meet secondary roads minimum level of effort, and sheriff's department needs. So
That 80, that line there that says county environment and education, the 80% difference. What is that?
I'm
The,
sorry, which slide?
right for that last one. Move to the last slide.
Oh, okay.
I think one about this paper. That one that's an 80.
Yeah, so that county environment education, that's also the service area where all of your ARPA funds are coming through. So the reason you're seeing increase of 80% increase in there is because we're expending a lot of those ARPA funds this year, which is also too why you're seeing that flux from our revenue to expenses, because we're spending out those ARPA funds that we've received
Okay.
this year. Well, we're planning to spend them, so. Question?
So are we still looking at a shortfall then from our revenue versus our expenditures?
Is there 15 and 12?
15, 12, so $3 million.
Yeah, and some of that's because you saw some of the revenue in prior years, and then this year you're steady some out. So if you look back at some of your prior years, you can see this some of your revenue is higher. Like in 2020, 21, 22, there's 14, maybe some of that are money being through in the last 2 years.
But we're not,
So
we don't have a $3 million shortfall this year. Or is that what we are saying?
Well, it is what you're seeing because you're spending out some of those revenues from last year, and you're.
So $2 million.
this year. I got it.
So last year was inflated because the money came in last year. We're spending it this year.
Well, and some too is the fact that some of our we still have some money budgeted in both years, because like with the Windows project, we had to at least
To pay the bill.
to pay, because we didn't know for sure what it was. So I tried to reduce some of that this year. This is some of that is still sitting in this year, that 99% chance that we won't use it, but I did want to eliminate it on the fact that if we did have an expense through, we could pay it then. Even the Windows project is expected to start in January. We're anticipating that. That's the plan for the Windows at least, overall.
Okay. All these resolutions we're talking about here. This is,
Will we have to adjust, like, so the rollback that they've talked about potentially?
Yeah, so these are the new numbers with the new with the new
Okay,
rollback numbers.
gotcha.
And what I did then was, because technically what the Department of Revenue did, or not Department, the Department of Management did, was they left your property tax amounts the same. So say you're asking for $2 million, they left those dollars the same. And then just the levy amount. So what I did was I went through then and basically I decreased those askings based on what we had originally wanted our levies to be at. So that way then we weren't increasing our levies.
Thank you.
Well, then I got confusing because nothing, like they left everything in the forms, then you were trying to figure out where you needed to fix it, where you left it, so.
Yeah,
So we don't have to make any motions or anything on this.
now we got resolutions
Resolution.
here. I'm trying to explain what they are.
So you need to fix the budget hearing next.
Okay, yes, all right, that's right. Budget hearing, and wants to give a presentation, need a motion to open the budget hearing, public hearing.
I so move.
Second.
Second, all those in favor? Aye. Okay, no, open our public hearing. Now we're gonna discuss our resolutions there, 26, 27, 28, which I'm looking at here.
You're gonna do the budget hearing and then you want to close it and then you want to go through
Then we do the resolutions.
the,
So we need to open up for comment, then, don't we?
yes.
All right, okay, just out of order here. Okay. So I need to open up for public comment on our budget or public hearing. If we have a comment about the budget. That Melissa just went over. You got one? No? I thought you raised your hand. Got one online anywhere? Okay, there is no public comment, then we need to close the public hearing, right? Say the motion to close the public hearing.
The public hearing.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're now out. Now we'll go to our resolutions. 26, 27, 28. Just want, can you go over what those are? Just kind of say what those are, and then we'll. Yes.
Yeah.
So resolution. So resolution 26 is basically where the compensation board met annually to recommend compensation for elected officials in accordance with 331,905 and 331,907. And it, for all elected officials, the compensation board proposed recommended increase of 11% for the auditor, attorney, recorder, sheriff, and treasurer, and a 5% for the supervisors. The board then, with this motion, will be reducing that down and adopting a 35% increase on that. So reducing it 65%, and then as well, which is in the code, reducing the supervisor salaries 3%, as well with that. So that's resolution 26. And then resolution 27 is allowing appropriations for the county as of July 1st. And it is basically allowing all appropriations through this resolution for the county for all of the departments. And that would be for what was budgeted for each department there. And then resolution 28 is the adoption of the budget and the certification of taxes. And so with that, that would include all of the property taxes levied that was discussed, and then as well the 3% decrease for the supervisors and the 3.85% increase for the attorney, auditor, recorder, treasurer, and sheriff. That would be the three resolutions.
Does that make sense, to everybody?
Yes.
Okay.
Can we do them all three at once?
I suppose we can.
Okay,
We have a motion to do all three of those at once.
I so move.
Second.
Judy makes a motion for 26, 27, 28. Pass that. Todd second,
Second.
okay. All those in favor, Dwayne?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. All those pass those? All right. So then we pass this resolution, we didn't have another action on the whole budget as a whole. Okay. Then I need for the, once I just went over the fiscal year 24 budget, I need a, there'd be a motion to pass that budget.
I would make a motion that we pass the budget.
I'll second.
Okay, a motion second, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. That's all. All right. And now, so we've ended our hearing, we've done our budget thing, so that's all done. Finished up. Okay, we have the Clarinda School election, first tier. Kansas. Is that something that you're going over? Yeah, okay. Looking at, all right. Closer.
Which one would you like to go first?
You want to go first?
Sure, I can go first.
Do the library, Judy.
I have, what do I have? I think so, yes. Yes votes, 451. No votes, 669. That was on measure A. Measure B, yes, 461. No, 659. Sorry. Oh, sorry, okay.
No, you're good. Sorry, I was like, wait, that's my total.
So total ballots cast?
Yes.
975.
I roll off the time. I do. Yes.
Oh, you want, okay, all right.
You're getting a workout.
Yeah, we're doing it differently, okay. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, on measure A, yes, 402. No, 571. On measure B, yes, 410. No, 564. That better?
Yes, that's much better.
Okay.
This one. Okay. Clarendon Community School District, public measure A. You need to know where this is at.
What?
You don't need to know the location, just,
Nope, you can
okay.
just-
Yes was 49, no was 98. Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. I was just,
And the total then?
yep, for the next one.
Okay. So then measure B was 51 yes, 95 no.
All done, that's smooth, that's all good. Okay. Well, so since that's been gone over and read aloud, be an action to canvas, what we call this canvas, the last time we did that, so we need a motion to,
That's the first tier canvas.
first year, yeah, so approve that.
I'll make a motion that we approve the first year.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion second, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. That done. Now, JD's back, okay. JD, we're ready for you.
Good morning, JD King, Page County Engineer. I sent out the engineer's update and another equipment summary sheet yesterday evening. And furnished a paper copy this morning. Blades are out in the districts. We're hauling rock with 3 trucks, 2 belly dumps and a tandem. And more rock haul as we have personnel. We've got a couple crews mowing brush still and cutting. They're up on J20, 140th Street, east of Bethesda. Going to cut between Bethesda and Wall Street, basically, and spurs north and south there on the avenues. Once we get down there, we're going to move down to Page Center Road, west of Q on the south side there. And we did push off slush Saturday afternoon. Last week, we changed the diesel particulate filter and emissions thing on motor grader number 4, the 5,000 hour thing. One of the tandems waiting on engine serpentine belts. We also have number 44, which is the newest Mac, back to RDO for a oil leak, perhaps rear main seal. It should be under warranty. The cat tractor with the boom mower on that we use for brush is back from Ziegler. The motor grader that we demoed the last several weeks is scheduled for pickup back to Murphy. I've got the operators that run it to make notes so we can capture their comments. Consider that when we request quotes. I have a belly dump trailer on the agenda. We'll get to that later. Our bridge construction continues on the Essex job. We placed concrete on the east pier middle of last week. And so the only concrete in the substructure remaining is the west pier cap. So that's good. Schedule's good there. And on 280th Street east of Shambaugh, they were scheduled to drive the east pier piling today. I haven't heard the yay or nay, but that's what they were scheduled to do as of yesterday. The J Road plan set that does base stabilization and follows up with a double chip seal on the county line shared with Montgomery and Willow Avenue is scheduled for turn in next week. I'll have a title sheet on next week's agenda. Is that in the evening or a day meeting?
It's scheduled for the 23rd,
It's a day meeting.
Thursday night is what we have scheduled right now.
Yeah, we may have to change that, so we'll talk about that. Board communication just a little bit.
It'd be good if I could get his signature on the 21st. For signatures, or I can bring it around separately. That's keep on the schedule. IMO has permits. And there's a Hungry Canyons meeting on Friday this week.
Plan to go to that.
The IMO permit is continuing west on 230th Street as we've been. He's previous weeks, he's done one mile at a time. And this time he did from where we were at last, all the way west to the county line. Questions for the engineer update?
Changing that DPF filter, what did that cost?
About $5,000
All the emission stuff.
emissions. That's waste of,
Yeah, it's crazy.
if you could turn your attention to the second page, the belly dump trailer proposal. Currently, we have two belly dump trailers in the fleet. The older one was purchased in '92, and we rebuilt it for just shy of $16,000 in 2017. They went through and welded some structure up and fixed up the air cylinders and brakes. Cost us $16,000. So in the last several weeks, last month, we sent the newer one, which is a 2007 Load King. We sent it over to Siouxland Trailer Sales there west of Glenwood on the interstate, and their estimated cost to rehabilitate that was $42,902, so $43,000. Significantly increased compared to the previous time. So we went and looked for some new trailers. And I also have a comment from the Siouxland Trailer. Dustin, he said, please find the estimate. This is at $43,000. Best guess on pricing without diving too far into it. Our recommendation is to get rid of this trailer instead of rehabbing it. So even the guy that does the rehab thinks our trailer's probably best to be shut up.
What kind of value is it worth in shape it's in right now?
There was, Jamie looked at some auctions from between, I think, $6,000 to $12,000.
What is bad on it? What went bad on the dump?
It's just wore out on a mile long. It's starting to crack in some of the structural, braces things.
They're using it today, though.
Yes, it's still running today.
Working with it. So what were they gonna do in that repair bid? They were gonna, basically, I tried to look at it, but we're not.
Remove and replace rusted out suspension parts, paint it, prep it, and get the trailer DOT ready.
What,
Probably more than it's worth. So we went to look at, or the shop foreman and the maintenance foreman went up to Storm Lake to look at the ITM trailers. Got a bid from them and a bid from Arway, another trailer manufacturer up in Minnesota. So we would propose purchasing the ITM trailer. This is a triple axle. It's haul a lot more rock. There's money available in the budget this year. Delivery is a couple months, which works with our budget.
the one, the trailer from 92 is still is in better shape? It's rebuilt in 17?
Right. Correct.
What brand of trailer is it? Did you write the number?
Trail King,
Do you think it's better? Is it a different Load King Trail King that built better, or what's the difference? I mean, but it's much better.
well, we rehabbed it.
So it's this other one just, it's not what I'm saying, it isn't even worth rehabbing. It's so bad that I don't want to rebuild it.
That's what the number means to me.
Yeah. Is there anybody else that would look at, any other person look at fixing it?
We haven't taken it to somewhere else, no.
Because the other one, since you worked out good, rebuilding it, but.
Correct, correct. That was before, our inflationary things in the last couple of years.
It looks, I mean, by looking at this, that makes sense, because there wants to darn much to rebuild it. He apparently didn't want to do it,
You're right.
but. I suppose more than anybody else that rebuilds trailers around here would look at it too, get two people saying the same thing.
We need to be able to, have our trailers running when the weather's fit to haul.
If you're rebuilding it, it's not gonna be ready. Like on this IKEA trailer, is this a direct quote? I talked to somebody, says they'll kind of sell trailers direct, is this a dealer?
You're right, this is up at the
It's right from the factory,
factory in Storm Lake, yes,
and it's for 63,000 basically.
300, yeah.
Now, I look at that quote there, it says 62,300, and then it has, well, it shows here, no, you don't have to pay tax on it. But then the total 63, they add $1,000, I don't know if that's a typo or. You see that?
I saw that.
It jumps 1,000, so it'd be for 62,300 unless they've got something else. That we can't see, I don't know what that is, it looks like a typo to me.
Right, because the options, none of the options are $1,000.
Yeah. Well, that looks to be the idea. We get this yesterday, or we get this last day or two.
Last week.
That's last day. I got the email with all these bids and stuff, and this, here, how old they were. Like, on that trailer, even like putting aluminum wheels on that, 10 aluminum wheels on that. Trailer, I don't know what the difference is, buy grain trailer, aluminum or steel.
We're going to aluminum on our trucks. They're a little bit better wheel, they're lighter.
Lighter, but yeah, no.
And we're moving from 2 axles to 3 axles here to, able to haul more rocket.
The difference on that is. Well, you guys have any thoughts on all
And you do have money in your budget for this?
Yes,
And what was the delivery date, you said?
in a couple months.
A couple months before you get it?
The other bid was from our way, it was for 71.
71.
And Iowa trailer manufacturer scored like 63,000, so. As far as the new one goes, I think that's bid. I just can't believe that repairing a trailer went up that much, it just seems.
Well,
Unless that trailer's some kind of built flimsy lemon that nobody wants to work on, I just can't believe it's that much more.
the Load King is generally pretty solid. Load King.
I know, that's what I'm trying to
is pretty
understand, how they're getting 43,000. Y'all like rebuild something that costs 60,000 new, and they're not, I don't understand what they're doing, how much steel they're putting on there or what, I don't understand how they're getting there. There's a couple places I called this morning, in Altoona, and by Des Moines, they repair trailers, I'm sure there's a bunch more in Omaha and other places. I don't know, I'd like to hear somebody else say the same thing, it's the one we rebuilt for 17,000 or whatever, 16,000 sure has been what kind of shape would you call it in now, 6 years later, is it still
Decent shape.
decent shape? That's my only concern, I would just like to make sure there's no way that
And that
a
was,
$20,000 rebuild or 25,000 will do it in the last 10 or 15 years.
was that rebuilt at the same place?
Yes.
Okay.
Siouxland Trailer Sales rebuilt that one for us. So that's why we went back this time.
Where would Omaha be the closest probably to find another,
We can look.
to get another bid just to see if it would,
Does he have pictures of what's wrong with it? They actually took it there, so they could see it.
They took it there.
They had a good look at it. How long would it take? I mean, they don't really.
It was
want
up
to do
there a couple of weeks.
Oh, I mean, how long would they take to rebuild? They don't really want to, I don't think. Doesn't look like it.
No,
You can tell by a bid what somebody wants to do or not, and they don't really want to do it. So this, I've seen this train running down the road, but not been close to it. Is it severely rusted everywhere?
it's still white, it's just getting wore out.
So the repainting is, maybe they've got a lot of dollars in repainting, prep, sand and paint, they got 67 hours plus 3,000. 67 hours and $150 an hour. Half the bid, paint. So why are
Well,
they
not half, but
be a bunch?
a substantial amount.
15, 20,000, man, did a bunch of it. So what is that? Was the other one repainted when they did it?
Yes. Helps slow down, it's helped slow down the rust.
So you're gonna paint the entire trailer, the whole thing, or just the belly part? You know,
Well, they don't paint the inside with rock,
yeah,
grind on it all the time, but everything else.
well, I don't, it's,
I think this ITM will be a good trailer for us.
yeah, well, I think it would be too, it's just trying to make sure. That somebody else wouldn't repair the other one real good for 20 some thousand, no difference. I don't know. It's just a question that might not be possible. No. Well, we didn't hurt anything, that's for using it today. If there's anyone else, just to solidify this, is just what I would like,
Okay.
to hear somebody else,
Find somebody else.
just to give they're gonna say 40,000 too, then we know for sure we're gonna do. Anybody else has thoughts? That's waiting too long, I don't know, but I think if we just get a general idea from somebody, if they say, okay, 40,000, forget it.
yeah, I think it'd be nice just to have another point of view on it, just to make sure before we go spend 63 or 70,000 on another one. If there's a cheaper option to repair this one, or the ability to repair it, get some more life out of it. Okay.
I understand why, but maybe they don't have any help up there, that's why their bidding is so high.
Hard to say.
That's wild inflation. 3 times. Okay, well, that's,
Okay, I'll come back next week
yeah, and I think,
and my
get an honest,
coffee's calling me.
okay, well, hold on, don't go too far, Tom's gonna talk here, and I want you to be here, listen to Tom. Okay, well, we kinda got a plan there next week, we'll make a decision on that, and, on the trailer. So, we have, elections done, we have the permit. Okay, do we need to have a table motion on that, or not, just the next week, would that be the best way to do that?
I would just put it on next week's agenda.
Yeah, we'll just put it on next week's agenda, so table it for next week on the Valley Dot trailer. Okay, now,
We have to act on utility permit.
okay, we need to make an action on those permits for.
And it doesn't go clear to the county line.
What did you find that, how far does it go?
It goes to past B Avenue.
F to B, basically.
It goes past B Avenue. But it doesn't go clear to the county line.
It's,
It goes past B Avenue, but it doesn't go clear to the county line.
where they're,
Right.
so you can't get there from here.
Can't get there, that's why I was wondering why I was getting that permit to go all the way through on 203. 203 doesn't go through Ridge out, and I believe it is on that bus route probably.
So what's the correct wording for that? We can take that, JD, that permit for IMO, it says the county line, but it doesn't quite go to county line, so we're gonna make an action on that, but what's the correct B, or where do they wanna? F to B,
Say again?
F to B, or what?
In front of
F to the-
Bud Trees,
Pardon?
in front of Bud Trees is
Where
where,
countries is closed,
yeah.
it becomes private from there, or, I think it's Delbert McAdie, it's on the east side, or west side of that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think so. They did.
Maybe Martin Williamson or sister, if I'm not mistaken, that line.
So it is not through, but there's, you know,
There's something they need to do on the other side of it, or what? A permit?
yeah.
So we'll go around and do something else over there.
Because I think it was a vacated road.
I left the permit back in the office.
Sorry, Gene.
Well,
Yeah, because it's just, it's not, there's no road there.
if there's no road, we don't have much, it's wherever the road stops is where we lose jurisdiction, is that right? I mean,
No, I mean,
we would still
well,
have a, physically get
yeah.
it back all the way or not.
Yeah.
Well, we need to word the motion, what's appropriate to, pass the utility permit, you know, allow that for IMO, what the correct wording is.
F Avenue to where the road ends. Is that-
Yeah. On F, where F ends, basically, they're staying on F. Make a motion that way.
Is that the way the permit reads, JD?
North, south, right?
Yes,
Back to the office, dude.
no, yeah,
Okay,
So 230.
it'd be 230, not
it's
that.
230th.
Be from
To where
F
the-
to wherever, yeah, it'd be 230, yeah. It's east and west,
From F to where it ends.
so 230th F to end of county road, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, make that motion, you'll say, Melissa can hear it, I guess, you wanna make that motion? Yeah, repeat it for us, so she knows, but we've said
Say
40
if I
things.
make- I'll make the motion that, we approve the utility permit for
IMO,
IMO from 230th Street till the end of the, county,
yeah,
To where the road ends.
from F to the end of the county road. That makes sense.
yeah,
Right.
There's mud,
yeah, clear as mud.
probably mud road.
Okay, so then, if you get that, makes sense,
And I'll second it.
okay? Motion and second for the utility permit, all those in favor, okay?
Aye.
Say aye, aye,
Alright,
all right. Okay, now,
For IMO from 230th Avenue to the end of the county road,
correct.
correct? Okay.
west, maybe say west. 230th and F west, it goes to the end of the road.
Avenue west.
Well, it'd be
No,
230th west.
230th west.
Yes, this is really confusing. 230th west from F Avenue, yeah. Okay.
Oh, here, Jake.
Over here, all right, man, now we've got, to Tom, I think, we're ready for you, Tom, oh, yeah.
Tom Wagner, could I ask JD a question concerning your rebuild on the trailer? On the
Go ahead.
boat. Do you do brake work in the county shop,
Yes,
but yet the rebuild included brake work on the used trailer? You don't do it in the county shop, you don't do brake work, you take it up to Siouxland trailer to do that?
price tags through that there.
Okay, but do you normally do that in the shop, county forces?
Yes.
Okay, and the cylinders, they can be removed and taken somewhere to be repacked? Okay. Thank you. I didn't want to waste your time on sieve analysis, but on one of the samples that I brought 2 weeks ago, The material was passing the 3/8 sieve, is this portion. This is what was retained on the 3/8 sieve. And if you remember, those other two had a finer portion, coarse portion. They're roughly 47%, 53%, 47% being the finer portion. At the time when I presented that, because of John Herzberg's request for me to be on the agenda, he had to buy 2 tons of the material that was being purchased at Bradyville to get the particles that you could get in 1 ton from another quarry. You definitely have to have coarser particles to blend or to bring this material that's on the Page County roads, to bring it up to be close to a gradation that is being purchased, has been purchased. The only change I know of in the last 5 years was, I think you had some 1.25 inch rock, and I did get some rock off of one of those roads. Particles this size, when you run a sieve analysis, it can be very misleading, because this mass will offset fines. But as I said before, when you manipulate that material, you segregate it, the coarse goes off the end of the mold board or the motor grader, the fines go under. Photos have been shown from this county where the coarse particles are in the ditch. And then, of course, trying to retrieve any of it on the edge of the road is contaminated with dirt, which is fine material. And driving the roads this weekend, they were nasty on Sunday, very nasty. Why, when we talk about equipment, we talk about windows for the courthouse, vehicle for county employees, we don't get it without air conditioning. Well, we want everything nice. But yet, when it comes to materials for the secondary roads, what has been done to improve the conditions that have existed for years? And when you talk about money, is it okay if I do refer to a project on M63? You know, there was about $12,000 a mile spent, I think, in 2019. It was too wide, it was too flat. There would have been enough material, you could have done shouldering from the MHI north to J20, west to Bethesda. That excess material got blended in because of procedures that weren't followed in the $3.36 million job on M63. That's a negative there. And then also the rock, I sent to the engineer an email about that shoulder rock surely is going to underrun because of the width that was placed by county forces. Prior to that, it was too wide. It was flat, improper slope, or little or no slope. So then on that project where state funds pay for the rock, then that rock underruns. And so those dollars that were needlessly used could be used to purchase a better quality material. And on that finer material, I think one time it was said 300 ton per mile, I think. Well, there's a reason for that. In that letter to the editor where I said the county purchased $25,000 worth of water, you have 12, 13%
moisture in that material. That fine material will not come out of a narrow tailgate opening. It has to be chained to a width that it'll allow that material to come out. That material can hang. It can cause a truck to tip over, and I think that's been experienced here in this county. There again, if you have clean material that flows freely, you can put a small amount per mile, use less. Do you have to spend a little more money? Has anybody ran the numbers? I gave everybody in the supervisors meeting in 2017, coming from another quarry, higher dollar amount, had the actual comparison. At that time, one of the supervisors, she goes, "We can't afford that." I said, "Have you ran the numbers?" "Well, our people say we can't afford it." "Have they ran the numbers?" I get no answer. Why has there not been down on black and white, the cost, the haul? On the manipulation, we have roads. Where I live, there's two of them. One would be a half mile of dirt, half mile of rock. One is quarter of a mile rock, 3/4 mile dirt. There's a house on the one road, the other road, there's no house. They get bladed the same frequency as the road that has a lot of traffic. Why? Every time you manipulate it, you segregate it, you degrade it on our soft limestone in this county. On the comparison that I made back then on the dollars, this is aggregate that's type A. You can put it in Portland cement concrete. You cannot use that material in this county for Portland cement concrete. It's too soft. So there again, you're looking at the lifespan of how good is that material going to hold up. When we talk about those fines, there's a lot of -200 material. That's very fine material. It's like talcum powder. That fugitive dust, it's not good for man or animals. It's nasty. There's EPA regulations. When you're producing, I don't care if it's a Portland cement or an asphaltic cement concrete production facility. The dust control equipment is expensive, requires a lot of maintenance because the EPA classifies that fugitive dust as hazardous. It is, how do I want to say this? It's definitely a health hazard. So when you buy that soft material, it's got a lot of fines in it. One landowner said to me that one day, I think 28 grain trailers by her house. Some of those trucks had 18 tires, some had 20. Truck tires are great for generating dust. When you start out with low quality material, it just gets worse and worse. So why do we do the same thing year after year after year and don't show the numbers? Where are the numbers, the calculations? We're doing the same thing every year is the best and not trying to get a better quality or definitely a cleaner material. And if you run tests, and if you had the test results, gradation, if you were trying to meet even the gradation you're buying with a lot of fines, you are going to have to put material that is clean with all that fine material in order to even come close. That testing, you have to do it anytime you're on, well, if you're in the asphalt or Portland concrete, cement concrete production, you darn well have to do it. Otherwise, you're out of spec, you're out of tolerance. You get penalized because you have a poor quality product. You can drive our secondary roads, and we've got a poor quality product. And as far as last week or 2 weeks ago, you were talking about an ordinance as far as, you know, the roads, have to look at them before, in case they get damaged. Well, somebody better better take some photos, better have some pretty good documentation. Because I personally raised questions about a $3.36 million job, and for 5 months, nothing was done. And on that subject, statement was made, the contractor didn't know that he didn't do it right. Well, somebody should have informed him, and the owner of that company, he should have an apology from this county if he was not aware of the deficiency, serious deficiency. That wasn't fair to the contractor. And so there needs to be, I think that has to be in your ordinance if you're talking about that. I think you need to make sure that things don't go by 2 months, 3 months, 5 months. It needs to be addressed immediately. As far as equipment, I'd like to say one thing. I told Chuck, Supervisor Morris, I don't think he passed it on. When the county forces did the rock on M63, and I think it was 2019, they did a tremendous job of compaction with just a regular implement farm tractor and an old, somebody would say obsolete pull type rubber roller. They did a tremendous job. The snowplows, side wings, they did knock some off, but they couldn't peel it off. When that project was done this summer, a steel face roller was used. Well, part of that weight was carried by the asphalt surface. So the full weight of that roller was not on that shoulder rock. This morning coming in, you know that it's low. We've talked about it before. You can see the shadow when the sun's shining. And so that has already settled and went down. But I would just like to say, when we talk about equipment, whoever was running the old obsolete full type rubber roller did a tremendous job. They got good compaction. Anyway, on the shoulder rut, you know, back, we met JD, Supervisor Morris, we met May of 2020, where that had not allowed the water to drain, ran down along the surface channel. I don't know how many vehicles in Page County would have driven that road. I know you had one person hired specifically for safety. That edge rut is a liability. People have died because of that. And right now you have a terrible, somebody told me about the road going north. I don't know which number I drove it, north out of Essex. And then you'd go west on excuse me, 20. There's over a mile there. That water is standing. It's got to be minimum 3 inches low. That standing water, we know that doesn't do any good on the surface. It gets down under the base. I don't understand why things like that go on. We spend so much time over manipulating some of the secondary roads, but yet on our surface, hard surface roads, we let things like that slack. And we had a piece on M63 that had to be replaced. And that was just down the hill from where Supervisor Morris and the engineer and I met. And that's where that water, I've got photos, I sent photos to Alan Armstrong, Chuck Morris. Nothing was done, but yet I don't know what portion of that $3.36 million job was for that removal and replacement of that concrete by that bridge about 3 miles, I think, north of Bethesda. But there again, it's just, it was lack of, well, it was just no action. And so I don't know, I think I'd like to see some action, get these secondary roads. Let's do something. Let's quit talking about it. Thank you.
Tom, where does that sample of the better rock come from?
This happens to come from the weeping water. I'll say one thing, there's two business owners I know. There's two of them that brought rock out of Savannah, and I know one right here in Corinne that brought rock out of weeping water. I'm not here to say promote a material from here or there. I just want to point out that because of, it's their dollars. They wanted something, a result that was worth their expenditure. So they went elsewhere because they couldn't get the material, the gradation that they wanted. And I said 2 weeks ago, you know, you don't go to the pickup dealer and say, what kind of pickup are you gonna give me? You spec it out. You talk about a machine, you spec it out. So why don't you spec out something, and why don't you spend this county's dollars the best possible way you can? Make an investment. As I said to Judy 2 weeks ago, she got a letter from a landowner. I said, you know, if something would have been done 5 years ago, maybe you wouldn't have received that from her. So there again, the inaction on correcting a problem that we've had, it just causes people to contact you, me to stand here. Why talk? Why not? Get a plan, get the numbers down on black and white. You know, figures don't lie. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Talk about this, we're looking at some rock options and things in the future. Yes, Tom, go ahead.
I'm Nick Jameson, Schubert Construction, and we see what gets said, and there's no rebuttal. This is a history that I put together, folks, for the rock that is down there. It is type A material. It is passed by the state of Iowa for type A material for asphalt. Yeah, you said it would be free. So anyway, it's my turn now. Okay. You know, when we hear all this stuff going on, and I wanted to stop in here and just let you folks know, you go through this, I'll answer any questions. We go strictly by the Iowa Department of Transportation. They test our material. They run gradations with us. So I'm not pulling this stuff out of the air.
Like Tom said, on the gradation sample, you have a lot of large particles that can outweigh.
He's going out and scraping stuff off of a rock road. The
Now-
DOT won't even recognize that. You take samples off of the belt at the time of production.
All right, my question would be, and this is a separate issue maybe on this, is that I bought a lot of rock down there myself. And when you buy the road rock, you do get a lot of fines. I mean, fines. That might be the way it's set up by Iowa code, I don't know, but I'm
It's
saying,
right there.
we would like to, I mean, I always see piles I would like to buy, but they're for somebody else. Some companies said, I want clean rock, we said special order.
Problem being, though, you put clean rock on those roads, you're gonna start getting a bunch of phone calls for broken windshields.
Right,
people-
so there has to be a mix, I understand that, but I'm wondering, I talked to you about this, we buy a lot of rock. It's probably about
I'm
one of the
aware.
biggest customers, so I would wonder if we wanted a pile of rock made, that maybe, that's fine, then I get it, but we wanna, the piles of rock I always wanna buy are never the piles that because I don't have the big order, make my own pile, custom order rock for myself, clean or clean with a different level of fine. And I don't know what the code says on what that is, but I know road rock can be loaded with fines. That might be okay. I'm just saying that's what.
No, because that's what I'm trying to show you right there. We make it to make modified sub-base, which is a gradation 14 for the DOT. It has to be under 10% passing of fines, and if you notice, we're well below that. The number 8 sieve, which is the one that makes the lime, we're under 20 on most of them. You know, road rock could go clear up to 45.
Yeah, well, so the question is, in the spring when it's soft, and this is not judging what pile you get it out of. I've talked to AD about this and it makes a lot of sense to me. I go down and buy some clean rock from you when I can.
Sure.
To put on the spring because it presses in.
Right.
I don't do it in August, you know, but I put clean rock on. But it's pretty big sometimes, the cleaner rock, and the nicer cleaner rock is maybe made for somebody. So my question is, this is a
Probably an
separate thing.
asphalt job.
Can we look into in the spring of the year, looking at some more clean special pile for us to haul in the spring that we can press in? You know, because you don't need all that. And that's just we talked about this, maybe looking into an order or having, when you're crushing, make us a pile of something that's a little different. But I think everybody understands you have to have fines to lock the road down, but if you go out with a load of road rock in the spring when it's wet and you dump it out and it's a lot of fines in there, because it's the way it is, the way it's made, then the rain, it disappears in about 2 seconds.
Till it heals up.
Till it heals up, right. And so my own driveway, I come down and get clean rock right now, dump it on, and press it in, and later on I might haul the road rock. That's just something I wanted to look into with you, and you're here, so if we wanna look into some kind of specking out rock we want, like a big pile of some sort, that's something we can do.
We can look at it,
See, just
to
we
see
wanna,
if it's something that's feasible.
right. So just like Tom said, order to pick up or whatever, these trailers, we spec them out. To think about if we want to adjust any from what the DOT says road rock ought to be.
It's just the thing of it is all the other counties around here, I've had no problems. So that's why we just stick to everybody uses the same materials, the same price for every county.
What's the smallest clean rock you have right now? And just a pile you can buy? You have inch and a half, yeah. Is there ever a thought to go, the stuff you can't buy is only like 3/4 inch clean?
You
I've
can't
seen
get any
them
production though. The problem is what do you do with the bottom end?
with all the pines.
Yeah. So if
That's
you're
the
not,
rock I love to buy.
so that's why when you're going in there and you're trying to buy something, it's in an asphalt mix. So they use the bottom part for a 2 fracture mix. So they'll have clean rock, you know, so that's why you can do that. But to just say, we'll make inch clean for you guys. Well, you can't, there's nothing to do with, you know, you're gonna have a big
Ag
pile.
line, could be ag line or whatever, you'll have enough use.
But then you're gonna have nothing in what's in the middle. You know, you've got all that stuff in the middle that doesn't get used.
Now, on your sampling, so is it like even like the road rock, when you try to get your level of acceptable fines with your cleans of different sizes? Is that when you're mixing it, is that a matter of you take, when you clean up the asphalt rock, you take the fines and add it to a certain degree to make it pass? Is that a blending process?
They do that at the plant.
At the plant, right? That'd be like you blend.
They put
I'm
in-
talking about not for asphalt, I'm talking about your road rock. So you have to get rid of that rock that's the pines for either ag lime or in between stuff. Is that blended? Is that?
It's all well graded down through, we run it
Dump
through
it
the
in.
sieves, all the way down through the sieve analysis. The 200 sieve is the dust particles of cling. And then, like I said, the number 8 is the lime, which that's when you keep it at a certain point, so it binds, but you don't want to get too much, because then, like you said, it's gonna get a lot of fines and it's gonna create more dust. And so that's why we've gone this route, is to try to find a happy medium. And yeah, if you're going out and dumping road rock in a mud hole,
It's gone.
well, yeah, you gotta put something else in there.
Right. So inch and a half clean is, that's what I bought a lot of that, inch and a half clean, and it's real soft, you can press in my county road, pretty dangerous, of inch and a half rock everywhere. Flying around, if they don't tie down quick. So I'm trying to learn about this, but I do have bought rock down there. So you're saying that the hardness of your rock is the same as,
Look for yourself, the state took care of it. You know, when people say we have an inferior product and stuff out on the road, we hear that. And we sit up there in the office and we talk about that stuff. Because we're part of the community, we pay taxes down here, we donate money to the communities, we employ people in this county. We hear it, we don't wanna hear it, we don't wanna hear it. So that's why I'm here today. I'm not here to be confrontational, I'm not here anything, I'm just here to put it out there. And I would like to invite the board, JD, when we move back in there in 2 or 3 weeks, we'd like to invite you down for a tour. We're gonna show you what we do, how we do it, how we test it. If you guys would like to come, we'd love to have you. Because we have nothing to hide. We're not trying to put an inferior product on the roads. We're doing what we've been asked to do by not just Page County. I mean, Fremont County hauls out of here and, you know, we make asphalt rock in Missouri, we make, you know. But we don't want to hear negative stuff. We want to take care of you folks. We're part of the community. We're part of this county. We're here.
we're happy to have business in the county, for
Yeah.
sure, in Rock River. I just, except the spring, you understand, that somehow, we've been talking about clean rock doesn't disappear so fast in the spring.
Well, sometimes there has been, some of the counties will put bigger clean rock in like frost boils and stuff. They'll pour them out and put that in there and then put rock over the top of them.
And like,
But the problem with that is that big rock will work its way to the top eventually.
find its way out.
Yeah.
Well, and it's also, and this, I don't know if this like matters what you're saying really, but trying to dump rock out of Wingate is different whenever, you know, road rock doesn't come out as good as fine. I mean, clean rock does. And you can scatter not so darn much per mile and actually top coats the road, what everybody's very upset about because there's mud everywhere. So that's why I'm just looking for trying to figure out how we can buy some rock that works in the spring a little better. And in the summer, the road rock can tie it down. That's just a question, trying to look into.
Well, we can explore anything you guys want to explore. We're wide open. We want to help you.
Yeah,
We're not here to hide nothing. We're not here to just ram it down your throat. We're here to help you. And, you know,
I think a
we
lot
just
of
want
it's
to take care of the county.
there's two parts to this, the way I see it, I guess, is one, maybe the material, if there's some better material that we could use. The other part is going back to the training on our operators. You know, making sure that we're leaving as much material on the road and not pushing into the ditches, flatten the road out to where the life of the road doesn't hold up. So, I mean, I think that's another part of this that would help our roads last longer. And if, you know, and again, I go back to the training thing I sent JD and everybody a month ago, maybe it was. But I still think, you know, just material wise, that could be a part of it, but I still think there's a lot of opportunity for training and how we service these roads to keep them up and to not waste that material and give it the best chance of success. I mean, if we're pouring it out and flattening it all out, it may not be, you know, it's got more water issues on it than what it would be if it was maintained and had a crown and everything wasn't pushed in the ditches. So I think that would, you know, as far as your material, it might last longer, you know, if it was maintained correctly.
Well, and you folks have got a big battle right now because the farm equipment is bigger.
Yep.
You know, the trucks are bigger, you got more pressure on rock roads and, you know, it's gotta be replaced because it's temporary surface, no matter how, I don't care where you buy it or what you put on, it's temporary.
Right.
It's gonna bounce off, it's gonna get bladed, it's gonna get pulverized, it's gonna get whatever.
Yep.
So, you know, that,
Steady, because I just know when I buy rock, I always see the piles I want. I'd like to look into that, because that cleaner rock, and if you buy a lot more rock,
most likely what you were looking at is probably stuff that goes into asphalt.
yeah, it's made for people and I can't get it. And when you, like Tom says, Drew, road rock, if it's been raining a bunch, doesn't weigh a lot more. I mean, you're buying a lot of water. And that's
You're not
true.
buying 25%
Whatever, it is more. I mean, when
Because
I,
I just hauled in the state of Missouri last week and it poured rain on that pile and it was 6%.
but it's, when you, it might be more per ton, but all my little bit of history of buying rock, when I buy clean rock, it costs me a little more, but I feel like it goes far. Because it isn't this,
If you get, yeah, you're gonna pay for it.
yeah, you're gonna pay more, but it goes farther, anyway, so there's a balance here. You have to have fines, tie road together, I get that, I think we all get that, but.
We'd like to find a resolution, you know?
Yeah, I would
Like I
too.
said, we want to continue doing business with the county and taking care of people.
Well, that's, I think going out, looking and studying and figuring on this and everybody getting a good plan and appreciate having a rock quarry here and all the employees and everything, so. But we wanna make sure we're doing the best.
I'll give you my card too.
Look
Any
what we can do.
questions you folks have on this testing and stuff, and I can get you a whole lot more if you want it.
Yeah,
But I didn't want to blow it away.
yeah, decipher this a little bit, but
None of this is, like I said, it's not what I'm just telling you, it's what the state of Iowa is testing and coming up with.
study this, appreciate you bringing it in here. We'll look into this and when is the crushers coming in the next few weeks?
Well, yeah, we'll be in probably about 3 weeks, we should be set up, and I would like to contact you and have them down.
Yeah, we might,
Interested.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
great. I'd love to learn about it.
We'll run you through the lab, you can watch them take samples, you can watch how they do everything, so you kind of know when we talk about stuff, what it's all about.
okay, we can do that, come have a look, try to see if there's anything we want to do.
I'd like to make a comment, sir. Sir, I don't know if you heard me say that. I wasn't promoting anybody's product. And I did say type A. I said low quality. And you want to know about, did I get it? When we talk about the. Yes, sir, it is off the road. It is off the road. Let's get that established. Okay, so now, it's off the road. We all agree, okay? What we want is an end result. We want that when we do a surface, hard surface, whether it be Portland cement concrete, whether it's asphaltic cement concrete. We want the final result. You work for the state of Iowa, the state of whatever, you have to meet that end result. That's my point. In order to take this fine material, which is what we're driving on, to get it up, you have to add a certain gradation to come up with your final gradation that you want. That's my point. We need to specify what's required
I think that's,
to get that. And,
that's what we want to look at, I think.
and as far as your material, I didn't say it would not meet type A asphalt. I said type A concrete, if I didn't make myself clear. It won't, you can't use it in ready mix, you can't use it in Portland cement concrete. I'd like to clarify that, okay? Okay, thank you. Thank you.
All right, okay. Well, we need to study and figure some of this out, because it is one of the largest things we buy is the rock on the road, so we'll try to get a better knowledge here. Okay, I've got, let's see, where we at here? We kind of had this, we have board communication, we have, Hungry Canyon is Friday, JD, you're going to that? I plan on attending that. Tomorrow I can go to Council Bluffs for juvenile detention.
I have a DCAT meeting at noon today.
Yeah, that's right.
Got a public board of health meeting next Monday. And then I have another meeting, I think a SWPCO meeting maybe on Tuesday night.
Did Jamie Cashman ever, did you ever get on?
No, I'm gonna cry again today.
Well, that's crazy. What is it?
I know.
Tell them to stop paying Isaac if they don't answer the phone.
I've got his
Marty,
cell
I'll get
phone
you in a
number.
second. I just
I've got his cell phone number now, so I can call.
Okay,
She
good. I
gave
just
it to
called
me
my
when I
number.
called up the other day.
Okay, I'll
So,
make sure we talk to him.
yep,
He said it was easy, so he should just. tell us.
I know.
I don't know what it
I don't
is.
know what the deal is. I know he goes and lobbies, so,
Yeah, I'm lobbying.
But still, he should be able to answer.
So on the,
I would like to ask too, if we could get, and, for next week's board meeting, I would just like to pick JD's brain a little bit on the training aspect of that, just to, he's had the material for a while, so, and I've talked to him off and on, but I think it'd be nice to get something scheduled, or
yeah, put it on there. talk
I've had a
about-
lot of calls about it, people asking where that's at in the process, because they were excited when they heard about it, so.
I have a mental health regional board meeting on Monday also, so.
It's the time of
And
meeting.
Wabansie Tuesday.
It's the busy time of meetings with bunch there next few
Yeah.
days.
So since we're talking about meetings, the reason why next Thursday wouldn't work for our board of supervisor meeting is because we have to canvass the election results
Within so many days.
for the second
It has
time,
to
and
be
it
on
has to be on
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Okay.
And so we were thinking, just go ahead and have it at Tuesday morning, 9
Do
AM,
the same thing.
you know,
9:30.
or 9:30, sorry, 9:30, my bad. Sorry, 9:30 next Tuesday,
So then the
and
third,
then we wouldn't meet on
Start.
Thursday, then we wouldn't
well, I
meet
mean, the
on,
next Thursday would be the 30th, that'd be when we'd start. Isn't I looking at this right, March? So it'd be the 21st would have to be the canvas meeting,
you know,
then the following week it'd be the 30th,
yes,
and then we start from there.
yep,
Okay, if that needs to be done for the 7 days deal, we can do that.
is that okay?
I think so. Okay, so that's something, just, I guess, put that's our next scheduled meeting on the minutes or wherever you put them.
March 21st,
Monday, or Tuesday, sorry,
Tuesday the 21st.
Okay, 9:30,
9:30.
okay. So that's got that now, the other communication, I'm not gonna forget Marty here. Is there anything else? Good. We didn't have public comment on our meeting at the beginning here, so Marty, you have some, go ahead.
Thank you, Marty Mayer from Imaging. I thought maybe you forgot about. public
No,
comment, so.
yeah, this was on there, we didn't catch it here. Go ahead.
What does it take to get an ordinance concerning hazardous liquid pipelines? Is my question. Does the fear mongering of Summit Carbon about you being the reason that Iowa agriculture will collapse if this ordinance is put in place, I mean, does that really concern you? They say that threat to every county that thinks about an ordinance. They want you to feel personally responsible for interfering with their pipeline and causing all of Southwest Iowa to go into bankruptcy with $1.25 corn. It is interesting that Sire in Council Bluffs and the ethanol plant in Atlantic are not participating in this pipeline. Plus, Poet and Corning is already using CO2 for other purposes. Now, none of these three seem to be worried about going out of business in 4 years if the pipeline doesn't get built. Now, do you realize that Summit Carbon and Navigator, the two main companies that are putting in pipeline, they will reap a minimum of $24 billion in tax revenue over 10 years if they get this pipeline built. Are you stopping them from building a pipeline by requiring a few safety setbacks for the health of the county residents? I hardly think that that would stop the money grab that these companies are set to reap by going through our farms. Suppose you adopt an ordinance. Do you think that with $24 billion, Summit and Navigator will be financially able to adjust their route, their pipeline, to provide safety setbacks in Page County? I seriously doubt that it's going to bother their bottom line very much. Summit cited and engineered their pipeline without getting an easement because they were so sure that Iowans, county boards of supervisors, and politicians would welcome them with open arms and ignore all safety setbacks. CO2 pipelines are so safe that 3 years ago in Mississippi, a release traversed 1 mile, causing 49 people to go to the hospital and over 200 people to be evacuated. I presume you know that if there is a release, the local EMS is allowed to set up a safety perimeter and wait for hazmat people out of Omaha to come and rescue anyone inside the perimeter. Now, good luck to the people that are stuck inside the perimeter for an hour or more. Summit's original plan was mostly a straight line, save crossing a river or two from Galva, Iowa, 120 miles to the north to Shenandoah. No worries about houses, people, or livestock if there was a rupture. A release can travel 1,200 feet in 4 minutes, and where it goes depends on the wind, the topography, the humidity, and other factors. I seriously doubt that you would want a hazardous liquid pipeline a few hundred feet from your house. I assume by your inaction that if a few of us die due to a rupture, then there will just be a fewer people in Page County. Have you read your duties in the Iowa Code of Protecting Your Citizens from Harm? 6 other counties in the state have stepped up to safeguard their citizens, and others are in the process of doing so. There is safety in numbers. Now, Summit asked Red Oak or Montgomery County, and they've asked other counties to wait until the Shelby County lawsuit is settled before you pass an ordinance. But do you know what that does? Let's say the Shelby County ordinance is overruled. Well, then Summit has won the game. But let's say the Shelby County resolution is upheld. The pipeline company can then go through Shelby County more carefully, or they can go around Shelby County. And all the rest of you counties will be too late to get an ordinance put in place, because that has to be done this year. That's another reason they want all the counties to wait and see what happens to Shelby. Plus, they can also hang Shelby out there and make them pay through the nose for anything that, any lawsuits or appeals or whatever. They want Shelby County isolated. Now, there will be some form of eminent domain used. I don't know what shape or form it's going to be in. That's being decided by the legislature. But that's not to protect the citizens. That's to help Summit Carbon. Now, windmills can be unsightly, and they can be problematic in quite a few different ways. But escaped compressed CO2 can kill. So, when will you act?
It's in the plans. We haven't forgot about you.
Well, I was wondering, I don't see any action or movement, and I feel like it's been sidelined and put off to the side.
Is the Paso pipeline running through your land?
Yes, it does. 300 feet from the residence that I own. Not only that, it doesn't go through straight. So you can put a marker on the road where it starts, and you can put a marker on the mile north where it ends. But in the meantime, it zigs and zags through the farm. You've got no idea where it's at. About it's a couple of years have gone past. So we need some safety setbacks. What's your plan of attack, if you don't mind my asking?
We've got a bunch of ordinances we're fixing to work on, and it's one of them over the next few months. I mean, that's what it is. We've got a bunch of them to work on. Solar, wind.
Are they all imminent
Well, we
as
need
far
to-
as,
Yeah,
you know, where the rubber meets the road, it's going to be too late to do anything?
I think all of them need addressed soon. We need to make sure we get them all done. Whatever we're gonna do, we need to do it soon. So we're gonna work on it. We have to study it and figure out what the wisest way to do it, keep people safe, and your job to this for building. So
What timeline do you expect, or do you have in your mind on doing this?
I don't know. And I would say the next few months, in my mind, what do you think, guys? I don't know. That's what we're gonna go over these things. A while back, we kind of talked about it. We're trying to work on all these things. There's a bunch of them, and we're gonna have some, I did this before, the last few years, we did some sessions, we kind of went over a preliminary one, the wind ordinance the other day, pointing out concerns and ideas, so. These are my thoughts, I'm one, I mean, what do you guys think?
I know we talked about it, 2 or 3 meetings ago, and we had a whole list of different ordinances. And they're all very important. I mean, I think we've got to get them done. It's just trying to fit them all in.
Just takes time.
It does take a lot of time, and I'm quickly learning that it's not as simple as just writing something up. You've got,
No, it's
and
not.
as contested with Montgomery County, it's took them 6 months, I think, to get to where they're at now, but so it does take some time, so.
They also have some unique situations going on there. I'll leave it at that. But if people would work together in the county, it would work, it would go through, it would come to fruition a lot faster. Meaning the zoning commission and the board, that whatever other group that has to work on this, if they would work together instead of independently, doing their own thing at their own pace, whenever they feel like it, things can come together a lot quicker.
But we have a template in the Shelby County ordinance, and I've looked over that, and it's just something that we need to probably, it's like these other things, we have all these ones to look at.
Yeah.
Address it, but the pipe, the CO2 is a little different in the how we get that all done, so any of this, it's one of the, there's at least 3 on the top of my mind we have to get to, and we're talking about trying to push it to happen, to do the best we can, keep everybody safe, and do the right thing. It's just gonna take time, but we're saying this year, I mean, the next few months, if we get whittling through this, then I think we're not behind the clock yet.
There's hearing scheduled for October with the IUB board.
I plan on having something thought by October. Is that kind of your guys' thoughts? To at least give our whatever we're gonna do, looking at it by October.
Well,
I
it better.
would hope we'd have that before,
Yeah, I
but
don't think it's gonna take that long.
It better be.
yeah.
It better be before that, so it had, and I don't know if there's I don't know the schedule, if there's a shut off date or a drop dead date where ordinance has to be in place. But please be expeditious in moving forward on that, because there is a time limit.
Yep, we agree,
Thank
and note that we take our jobs very serious when it comes to protecting the county citizens, so that's one thing that is always in the forefront of our minds. I think one thing on this board anyway, so.
I haven't forgotten about it.
No,
All right.
It's on our mind. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
I didn't know I was gonna hit such a nerve, otherwise I would have brought a sample off my garage floor.
Yeah.
And it would have been from the county road, what fell off my vehicle. And, show that to the gentleman, if I would have known that. But anyway, I was out walking the county roads Sunday, and so anyway, yeah, I have -200 on my shoes. That's from the county road. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that figuring out, I would like to know more about how, when we buy rock, how we buy it, what it costs to get more clean, all that. I want to know more about that. For myself, I did the same thing buying rock, so we'll study that the next few weeks and try to get a better mind on this as we buy a ton of rock and they grind a bunch of rock for us. Oh, okay. All right, well, we're to the minutes. Oh, then I saw was the starting time. Did we start right at 6? One thing, everything else was good. I don't know if we need to have the time in there. Maybe where it says we're present, says at 6 PM, made a motion to whatever, approve the agenda. That's one thing I saw, everything else looked good. You guys,
I guess I missed that part of it, the time.
just the starting time. I was gonna say that, it doesn't say what time we started. Well, I just. I don't have all those papers. I thought you did. I've looked at. I did say when you start, when you end, open a meeting and close the meeting.
Otherwise, I thought it looked
Yeah, look
fine.
good.
I thought they looked really good.
I move we approve the minutes of March 2nd.
And a second,
Okay. I'll have to look at that. I think it should have to start time, but we'll look at that for next week. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, minutes passed. All right, let's see here. That looks good. Now we're just the easy part. We want to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
No discussion on that. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Okay.